Looking at the muscles of the abdominal wall, there are two important things that can help you tell which muscle is which from the other ones. First is the layer that we are on. So depending on the layer and the depth of the tissue, that should help you identify the muscle. In addition to the direction of the grain in the muscle, because if you notice we have obliques, and that means it is going to be coming in at an angle. So if we start looking at the muscles of the abdominal wall, see the steep angle each one of these muscles are coming in from the side. These are the external obliques. To show you the layering, I'm going to do a sagittal cut and then look for the inside. So we see the internal, or the inside of the external, and see the different direction of the grain of the transverse, and a little bit of the internal oblique is visible in that layer as well, just to give you an idea of the different grain direction that we're going to see. So I'm going to remove the external oblique on one side, and we still see an oblique angle, but this time from the iliac crest, so that is the internal oblique. Removing the internal oblique allows me to see the rectus abdominis. So this is that vertical ab muscle that we may be most familiar with the muscles of the abdominal wall. Removing that underneath, I see the transverse abdominis. So this is perpendicular. The grain of this will be coming straight across, horizontal, 90 degrees to the body axis. So depending on which one you're looking at, they're either going to insert or originate on the ribs or the pelvic bones. They insert on the linea alba, and it is how they move the abdominal wall. So again, look at the layers and the grain direction. To see the quadratus laborum, we must go a little bit deeper and remove the rest of the abdominal muscles. And when posted, you can see it clearly from the ilium to the lumbar spine and the 12th vertebrae. So this is going to not only extend the vertebral column when it's bilateral, but unilaterally it will be flexing the vertebral column. No longer isolating the muscles of the abdominal wall. If we add them back to a torso that is very filled in with muscles, we can still use the depth and the grain direction to help us identify the muscles of the abdominal wall. So here you see the transverse abdominis. So it is perpendicular to the vertebral column, and it is the deepest most layer. Adding on top of that, the rectus abdominis, followed by the internal oblique. So we can still see some ribs, so we know this is not the uppermost layer, as we see on the opposite side of the body here that is not being changed or dissected. So this is the internal oblique. We can see the grain coming in at an angle from the os coxa region. And then adding the external oblique, we are at the superficial most layer, and we can see the grain angle coming more from the rib area, superior as opposed to the internal oblique, which was the opposite.